Hey lovely lady, Shakti here, and I'm in my office today, just about to do my updating my accounts actually. So I am in the masculine frame of mind, which is looking at my figures, adding things up. You know, that's a very masculine thing to do. But just before I get down to doing my accounts this morning, I felt inspired to share this message with you, which I've come to know is true through my own experience and study, but really through my own experience. And it is that the stronger your masculine, the more powerful your feminine. They go completely together. And I know this kind of takes us into the final module of the Awakening Shakti program, which is divine union. But I thought it was worth saying it now so you really get an understanding of why it's important to spend time immersing yourself in the realm of your inner masculine and cultivating that inner relationship with your inner masculine and exploring your relationship with men and with the masculine in every area of your life, because the deeper this inner relationship, the deeper this connection, the more radiant, the more powerful, the more alive your feminine is. And if that's not making sense to you right now, I'll just explain a little bit. So what I'm not saying is that you need to act in a manly way or that you need to act in a masculine way. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, it's the very opposite that happens. It's remember those of you who I've been posting some questions in the group over the last few days to get you to begin to inquire about how you perceive the masculine, what your relationship is with the masculine, and what you long for and what you desire, right? And so the qualities that you've been speaking of, like trust and honesty and integrity and strength and confidence, all of those qualities, right? And hi, all of those masculine qualities that you long for in the external, right? What needs to happen is for you to cultivate those qualities within yourself and deepen your relationship with the masculine at its deepest, right? At its deepest and highest and truest expression. The divine masculine is pure consciousness. And it's like this vertical line of energy that anchors you like a column, like an erect penis, literally, right? It's consciousness, and it's steady, it's steadfast, it's straight, and it is always there. Consciousness is always there. It never goes away. So for those of us, including me, who have the wounding of abandonment, who have the wounding of the emotionally distant father who wasn't there for you in the way that you would have liked. So maybe you grew up with a father who seemed very distant, who wasn't there for you, who wasn't present to you, who wasn't present to your mother, so you didn't have that experience of the masculine being there for you, and you didn't experience that or have that modeled for you in the relationships that you saw around you. So our job then, our work then, is to connect with that deep sense of the divine masculine within ourselves. And so we have that constant connection to a sense of anchoring in strength, in integrity, in honesty, in uprightness, in purpose, and in presence, because the number one quality that most women say they love and they respond to and that opens them, right? What opens you? What turns you on in the presence of the masculine? It's presence. That's always the number one. Presence, strength, confidence. It's being there with unconditional positive regard, no judgment, no control. You know, that's consciousness. Consciousness doesn't try and control you. So if you're having those associations, that is not the true masculine. That is patriarchy. That is a very distorted, immature, dysfunctional, shadowy expression of the masculine. It is not the nature and the essence of the true divine masculine. So just notice how you feel when you think of a man in the external coming towards you in full presence. So he's fully present. He's right there for you. He's not wavering. He's not flinching. He doesn't bat an eyelid when you get emotional, as we do, because we're women, you know, and he stands there very erect in his presence. Then of course it opens you, right? It opens your heart and it opens your body. It opens your sexuality. So you know that from the external experience. I'm hoping all of you would have at least experienced that once or twice with a real man, so you know what it feels like. And it's just like, oh. And if any of you watched my interview with Chris Bale, I mean, he embodies that quality so beautifully. Quite honestly, when I was interviewing him, it was hard for me sometimes to keep asking questions, because my response actually to his presence was just to shut up and bask in his presence. Quite honestly, that was what I was feeling when I was interviewing him. It was just like, oh, you know, and it was, I had to kind of keep bringing myself back into this now moment, into a more sort of balanced masculine feminine way, to be able to keep asking him questions, because his presence was penetrating me and opening me. And I don't mean that in a sexual way at all. It's not like I fancy him or he fancies me. It wasn't, you know, it's not about that at all. It's just that he's a very present man. And we all long for that. And bringing it back around, our job as awakening women is to do that for ourselves. So we have that deep anchoring in consciousness and with our inner masculine within ourselves. And so then look what happens to a woman who has that sense of inner security. Because look, what's one of the biggest shadows that women go around with? It's self-doubt and insecurity, right? I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not beautiful enough, can I do this? It's all bullshit, you know. That's the feminine ego, is that insecurity. So we have that masculine anchoring of confidence and strength within ourselves. So we always have that there, and then our feminine can begin to flower and blossom innately as it's designed to open, to radiate, open heart, lusciousness, sensuality, beauty, magnetic. But we're not doing it waiting for a man to come and be that presence for us, or looking for a man in our outer realm to be that presence. We are being that for ourselves, and in that we blossom, and the world feels that blossoming, right? You can feel it. I know you can feel that from me. You can feel that. I'm anchored. I have a very strong masculine in many different ways and levels. And so it's like he's always there with me. And so my feminine can relax, soften, shine, radiate, because he's here. I don't need to look for him out there. Does that make sense? I'm going to put my glasses on to see if anyone's there a bit. Yeah. Oh, Rita. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. So that's the piece. That's the really important piece that's going on here. And so, you know, I've already seen some comments coming into the group where, you know, it's like, I wish he did this, and a bit of complaining and a bit of niggling. So if you're now like just flipping it again, if you just notice how that feels to be anchored, to be unified with your masculine inside, your response to the man in your life or the men in your life is going to be very, very different, because you're not going to be trying to get something from him that you're not giving yourself, right? So it's really important that we're honest with ourselves and we look where we have been trying to get the security, get the attention, get the emotional relief, the emotional support that we are not giving ourselves. And again, I'll make it more concrete by giving you an example. Yesterday, something happened. I don't want to go into a big blah blah about it, but let's just say I got a message from my dad. Now, my dad is my nemesis. He's been like, you know, he's the one really, in a way, who's kind of catalyzed everything for me, because my wounding around him was so deep and has been so deep. but it's kind of, it was that wounding that has catalyzed my awakening journey. So it's like, you know, depends how you want to look at it. I can look at him with gratitude for being that catalyst, or I can look at him with blame and hatred for being what he was, and I don't choose that reality anymore. Anyway, but he sent me a message, and it did trigger some emotion in me, some anger and hurt. And, you know, in the old days, how I would have been, how I would have responded to that would have been to blame him, to hate him, to be nasty. Well, actually, I've never been nasty. My way was not to get nasty back to somebody. My way was to feel bad. So that was my way of responding to that kind of situation. We all have, some people go externally and some people go internally, but either way, it's a bad feeling, right? So my way is not to shout back or be nasty, but it's to sort of beat myself up or to feel bad internally. And so I noticed that feeling, that old familiar feeling rising up. And of course, I know by now, having been through so many revolutions and cycles of growth and awareness for so long, that it's never about pointing the finger and blaming the other person and saying, you're making me feel like this. Never, never, never is it about that. So if you're still doing that, I totally understand. I did that for many years, but I know that is not the way. It's not going to change anything, and you're not going to feel any better. So I danced for a good hour and a half. I put music on and I danced to kind of move my energy. And then I sat and meditated, and I wrote a little post about this yesterday, with my inner masculine, in the sense that I tap into that deep states of pure consciousness, as deep as I can go anyway. And then I just bring that sort of sense of complete stillness, complete emptiness, complete clarity. How else can I explain it? Awareness, pure awareness. And I just bring that to the feeling, wherever the feeling is in my body, because it's a feeling, it's a sensation, it's an ache, it's a hurt. And for me, it's almost always in this area here. And I just hold the two together. So I hold the feeling, so I don't repress anything. I just let myself feel whatever it is fully, and it doesn't feel comfortable, okay? So if you're also still trying to avoid feeling, it's never going to resolve whatever you're dealing with. You have to feel things fully. Let myself feel it fully, and in the meantime, holding this presence with it. And so what happens as I bring presence to my own emotional experience is the emotional experience begins to shift. It changes, because of course emotion is just energy, you know, and so it begins to move, it changes, last night anyway, it lightened, and then all of a sudden it was like, it's really interesting, like at the sort of the place where they meet, kind of like the masculine, what it is for me, the masculine and the feminine meeting, it was almost painful, but then tipping over into exquisite. So it's very fine balance, and it began to be blissful and like making love. And then it began to be like this sort of orgasmic feeling in the heart, as I was allowing my consciousness to penetrate with awareness the feeling. And that's the making love. That's it right there. But of course, we don't just have that presence with us when we're going through a difficult moment, although that's when we as women really need to cultivate that strength, so that we're not projecting out our dark emotions like bitches, like manipulators onto the men in our lives. So we hold ourselves and we take full responsibility for our emotions and for our behavior, and we don't cop out with those excuses that women use, which is like, oh, I was just feeling blah. No, feel it, yeah, feel it fully, but take responsibility, own it, hold yourself in it. And that is not the same as repressing, pushing down or stopping. Let yourself feel everything fully and hold yourself in it. So that is why the deeper your connection with your masculine, the more your true feminine essence can blossom forth in you and in your life and in the world. And it works the other way around for men. So if a man is not in touch with his feminine, if he's not fully connected to his feminine, which would mean He is in touch with his body, he's in touch with his sensations, he's in touch with his sexuality, he's in touch with his creativity, he's in touch with his desire. And if he hasn't done healing around his wounds with the feminine, so typically it will be his mother, but it could be like a partner who's abandoned him or rejected him, because men have just as many wounds as we do, ladies. So if he hasn't done that inner work for himself with the feminine and come to truly love his inner feminine and all his emotions, of course that's the other piece, is that men tend to deny or shut down and contract their emotions rather than feeling them. If he hasn't done the work of coming back to his own feminine, he will be half a man. So it's the same. It works exactly the same way. So the more he connects with his feminine, the deeper and more present and more powerful he will stand in his true divine masculine. So we want men who are doing that work, right? But of course you will always attract wherever you're at. That's how it is. So that then you both get to do the next level of growth and the next level of work that is required. So that's all I had to share today, really, but I hope it's been illuminating, maybe thought-provoking. If you've got any questions, let me know. Here to answer your questions, here to help. And I'm going to go and do my accounts now, and I'm going to put some really high vibe music on because I really don't look forward to doing my accounts, but it has to be done. So my masculine is going to be with me, supporting me to get this job done today. Loads of love, and speak to you again soon. Bye for now.